Getting started to prepare your sketch to then transfer to your linoleum block for your self-portrait project. You should have already transformed your photograph into black and white and then used Adobe Capture to create shapes so that it is a graphic image. Now, you can either print this out, and we need it to be 8 by 6 inches, just like our block, or you can easily trace 8 by 6 using the iPad. If you're going to do that, I suggest taking your linoleum block and simply tracing it on a piece of paper so that you have the correct size, and then taking that paper, laying it on your iPad, and scaling the photo until it fits perfectly. So here you can see what it would look like if I was shining it through on my iPad. Now, to make the trace or the sketch for this assignment, we want to focus on the shapes, those black shapes and white shapes, because we are going to carve the white shapes and keep the black shapes. So I would work on focusing on the shapes that are blocked out. An easy shape here is my face mask, so I would go ahead and block that out. So the first step is to just trace all these different shapes that we see. They're gonna look really strange, like strange shapes for sure. And it's going to look pretty abstract to start with. So go ahead and take your time. If you are tracing from a printout, I highly suggest going and leaning against a window for you to see through easier. So here you can see I'm just gonna start tracing out these shapes, and then once I have them completely traced out, it's going to look like this. So it's still a little bit funny looking. What I need to do is I need to kind of block out the black shapes. This is going to make it much easier for me to identify what I'm going to carve and what I'm going to keep. And it's going to look more like our photograph. So what I would want to do is just spend a little bit of time filling in, looking back at my reference and filling in those dark shapes. And it's going to make a lot more sense once I do that. So carefully going through, especially in areas like this, in my hair and in my shirt, this becomes kind of one big shape. You can see the shadows from my neck are actually connected to my face mask, and those are the things we want to watch out for and pay close attention to, kind of where these shapes fit together and how they kind of unite in different areas. So I would spend some time doing this so I know what's black and what's white. Now, to transfer this sketch, I am going to, of course, use my kind of graphite transfer method, and I am going to flip the back and use my pencil. Now, you can do this with your photograph or with your sketch. I can also use a chunk of graphite if I have it, which makes it much easier. But these are pretty small, so we're gonna just rub, and you can even use a tissue or a paper towel to smudge and fill in. Then we will, of course, lay it on top. I often like to tape it into position, and then I will begin to trace again. So I would go ahead and use a kind of dull pencil or even a pen, and my pencil's nice and dull because I just used it. And I am going to start to transfer this sketch and these shapes, applying pressure. So we can see that the pencil comes through really clearly. You can see my lines have started to transfer. So I would go ahead and do all of that. I'm going to leave the background blank for now. I'm just gonna focus, as you can see on my sketch, on my silhouette and all the shapes inside of it. While transferring my drawing onto my linoleum block, I used a colored pencil to show where I already drew over, and I also filled in areas that were already the black shapes. Now, when I take this off, it'll be less work when I go to just clean up a little bit, because you can see that the shapes transferred really well. So I might just want to take a minute or two to fill in any areas that maybe just transferred a little bit light. So I might just go in with my pencil and fill in my eyebrows a little bit and make sure that I didn't miss any areas, or that I won't miss any areas. Some of the spots were a little bit sketchy, so I might just clean up the shape of them. But as you can see, the transfer method with the graphite did a lot of the work for me. So I'll just go around, clean up specific areas, things like my ear. I might go ahead and double check. I'll have my sketch next to me and make sure that I don't miss anything, and just darken up areas that I need to. So the shadow down here is a little bit light, so I'll go ahead and fill that in and continue to do so all around, and then I'll be ready to start carving all of the white areas of my linoleum block.